a young man who recently had become a Christian, and when in the early days of becoming a Christian, he had come across St. Francis of Assisi, and St. Francis had brought to mind the idea of him living his Christian life, living the gospel the best he possibly could, and if necessary, using words. So he wanted to live the gospel without using words, and he was hoping that people would be able to notice that he was now living out his Christian life as best he possibly could, and doing so without work. So he'd go to work every day. He was pleased to get out of bed in the morning. I'm going to go and reveal Jesus Christ to these guys at work, and they're going to see Jesus in me. And he was doing his absolute best to be a wonderful, shining example, just hoping that somebody would notice one day that he was a Christian and would ask him about it, and he'd have the opportunity to share his faith. And the day came. One day somebody said to him, could we get together sometime over a coffee or something, because I've noticed something different about you. And he was thrilled. Yes, I've made it. Somebody's noticed that I'm a Christian. This is going to be wonderful. So they arrange a time when they can get together, and they're in the cafe at the workplace, and he's waiting to be asked the question, and this fellow that he's talking to says, "Dear, I've noticed something different about you. Have you become a vegan?" Perhaps the most fundamental question we can ask is, who am I? Who am I? Michael Card says, our peace rests in finding the answer to this question, who am I? Our greatest moments of emotional stress and upheaval occur when our self-understanding is challenged or violated and we don't know who we are. Can you identify with that? I think we can all identify with that. I know who I am when I am, but as soon as something challenges that, then I'm in pieces. Well, who am I then? And it could be a range of things that just alter the position that I'm in to make me question and be thrown into that place of emotional stress. Who am I? And it's true, isn't it, that we put various identities on ourselves. Where we're from. I'm an African, and I met a fellow African this morning. It was like the fireworks came on. We both just stuck out our hands and shook hands and said, "Yes, brother." We just immediately knew we're Africans together. There is an identity thing there going on, isn't there? The fact that I'm a Christian is an identity feature of me. The fact that I'm a white male is another identity feature. But if these things are challenged, then it causes real upheaval in my life. And I come back to that question of who am I? And the truth is, isn't it, that these aren't really who I am. And until we get to the place when those half identities, where those identities that we've imposed on ourselves or somebody else has imposed on us, when those quasi-identities have been stripped away, that we are able to find the real me, the real person we are. I remember, I think it was the second visit I made to this country from Zimbabwe. I was very much an African and was in a college in Birmingham. And I was identifying myself with the Africans, and I was hanging out with the Africans because I'm an African. This is what we do. But it was extraordinary how often that was challenged. And do you know why? Because I don't look like an African. I was invited to speak at a church in Liverpool. I was so excited because I was going to go and see the football stadium, really. That was my reasoning. Until they heard that I wasn't a black African. And they phoned the college and said, "No, we don't want him." And it really challenged my identity. And I went to bed one night, and I kid you not, I wept for hours. Because in my heart, I'm an African. And all these people around me were telling me that I'm not. And I wept and wept and wept until about 2:30 in the morning, when the Lord spoke to me, and he said some amazing things, a lovely thing. And the core of it, just for the benefit of the morning, is you are a child of God, born in Africa. And that was so liberating for me. It was it restored my peace to me when I was reminded who I am. You are a child of God, born in Africa. And I hang on to that. I'm still an African. Yes, brother. Stick it to them. But it is an extraordinarily painful journey when we are confronted by those things that challenge the image that we see ourselves as being. An extraordinarily painful journey. The couple of verses that I want to share this morning is Jesus being Jesus. Jesus speaking life and peace and hope and restoration to people. Matthew chapter 5, verses 13 and 14. And 15 and 16, I think. Yes, thank you. Jesus, speaking to this crowd of people gathered around him, and he says these extraordinary things. You are the salt of the earth. But if salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It's no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father who is in heaven. There was a time when I struggled with the idea that I might be the salt of the earth or the light of the world. I don't have a problem with that anymore. I know I am. I know I am. Why do I know? Because Jesus said it. And it's true. And I'm coming to learn who my identity is in him. And that changes who I am. And I think it's restoring me to be the person he is making me to be. He's not making me to be the senior chaplain of Crowhurst Christian Healing Centre, is he? He's not making me to be the church warden of the church down the road. He's not making me to be the perfect husband. I'm glad Veronica's not here. But you know what I mean? He's making me to be like him. Because when he summed up the Beatitudes in these two lines, you are the salt of the earth, the light of the world, he was saying to the people that were listening to him, be like me. Be like me. We read the Beatitudes, and I love Richard Raw here. Richard Raw says the Beatitudes are not prescriptions, live like this and all will be well. The Beatitudes are a set of descriptions. Live like this and all will see Jesus. We sometimes take the Beatitudes and try to live that way, but Jesus is not saying do that. Jesus is saying, because you are in me and I am in you, you are already these things. Be like me. Jesus says, it's okay to be poor in spirit. Jesus had needs. It's okay to have needs. Jesus wept. We weep, we mourn. It's okay to be like that. It's okay to hunger and thirst for righteousness. Jesus did. He wanted to be the perfect example of what it is to be a son of God, a son or a daughter of God. Jesus was able to say, blessed are the peacemakers, because he was a peacemaker. Jesus was able to say, blessed are the pure in heart, because he was pure. And it is okay for us to acknowledge that we are these things too, because that's his promise to us. You are, folk here, listen, Iris, you are the salt of the earth, my dear. You are Jenny. You are the light of the world. Rick, you are the light of the world, brother. Jonathan, on this great day, you're 1 year older. And the salt of the earth and the light of the world. What is Jesus doing? He was speaking to people whose identities were a mess, wasn't he? They were saying, I'm trying to follow Jesus, but I'm a Jew, so what does that make me? And if I become a follower of Jesus, what are my family going to say? They're going to chuck me out. Their identities were all over the place, and Jesus was just doing what Jesus does. This is who you are. This is who you are. This is who you are. Stay with me. Cling to me. Hold on to me. Together we will do this. I had a revelation was it Easter Sunday morning last Sunday? No, 2 weeks ago. It's already 2 weeks ago. Goodness gracious, time flies. Suzanne was speaking after an amazing weekend that Dave led, speaking about being ashes and becoming beauty, from ashes to beauty. Just an amazing, lovely weekend here. If you haven't booked for a retreat, you need to book for a retreat. Come and meet the Lord here. And on the final morning, Suzanne was speaking about being light, and the Lord reminded me of one of the most extraordinary miracles, and I'm a believer in miracles. In fact, I don't believe in miracles. I depend on miracles. The Lord reminded me of the miracle of the holy fire. Do you know the story of the miracle of the holy fire? Every Saturday, every Easter Saturday, in the Holy Sepulchre, the high Orthodox priest goes into the Holy Sepulchre, which has been cleared of any matches or any lights. This is in Jerusalem. And he prays some prayers. This is on Saturday, the vigil before the Sunday, where Jesus comes back, where Jesus is resurrected and is the light of the world. And he prays some prayers, and a miracle happens from nowhere. A flame is lit. I don't have any problem believing that. Of course it's not today. Everybody says, but he's got a box of matches in his pocket, hasn't he? I don't have a problem believing that Jesus, who says to me, Steve, you are the light of the world, can bring light to any situation where there was no light before. That's how it happens. Because he is God, and he can do the impossible. Brothers and sisters, you are the light of the world. So much more. You are the salt of the earth. And when you return to your homes today, believe it and be it. And Jesus will be very happy.